I think the Russians are looking to support the search for alternatives from what we call the global South today. And I think there's quite a bit of historical irony here because personally, I see the BRICS, and especially this summit in South Africa, as a fairly important watershed. It is one of the thicker points that make up a graph that's pointing towards the de-Westernization, a recalibration of geopolitics and geoeconomics. And this process began back in 1955 at the Bandung conference in Indonesia, when what was called back then the Third World, in other words, the non-capitalist, non-US aligned and non-socialist, non-Soviet aligned countries, although many of those countries, by the way, were socialist, but those are details. At that conference, what became the non-aligned movement in the early 60s was born. The problem was that for the second half of the 20th century, during the Cold War, the whole third world was left in the shadows of the historical stage, which is not to say that things didn't happen. Unfortunately, a lot of bad things did happen there. Right. But those countries enjoyed very little sovereignty. And from their point of view, the Cold War was not really a conflict between the West and the East. It was an internal Western conflict, with Adam Smith being sort of the intellectual father of the capitalist world and Karl Marx the intellectual father of the socialist world, both of them Westerners. The Indians on many occasions said, listen, this is not our conflict. We will pick and choose our sides. Well, here we are 30 years after the end of the Cold War, and we're seeing the non-Western world really acquire a voice of its own. And of course, the major part of the former leader of the Second World, Russia today, right, no longer communist, no longer ideological, is one of the leaders of that world. And I think the essence here is mutual respect, and none of the founding members acting like a hegemon and using their currency or using a trading or financial system as a bludgeon to bring everyone else in line. And it looks like the rest of the world is seeing this as a breath of fresh air.